All of you have been very important in making this event possible, and we just want to let you know how important you are, how much we're thankful for you, and how much we appreciate you being here. We have over here a couple of special recognitions. Chief Doug Nelson is responsible for the Rogersville Sheriff's Department, and they were the arresting officers in the search for Carlie Trent. Sheriff's Department, Ronnie Lawson, if you'd stand up, please. We want to thank you for being here. And then this couldn't have happened without Roger Carpenter. If you'd stand. These guys are bashful. Larry Hamlin, Donnie Lawson, go ahead and stand up. Donnie's been wrestling with a mule and he lost. And then Stuart Franklin. They're sort of over here in the corner. We've already had a happy ending. Back in May, we had a happy ending. Today is just icing on the cake. So I want to begin by sort of going back over some of the events that happened. It was on Wednesday, May the 4th, Carlie Marie Trent was checked out of school by an uncle, which began one of the largest manhunts in local history, and I believe it was even national history. There were people from states around that were calling us. Local residents, moms and dads, grandparents, they could not believe. You know, we have children and grandchildren, and our minds raced at what could have been the end result of this. I mean, we were devastated at the thought that in Hawkins County, a child could be kidnapped. So over the next 8 days, in the parking lot across from our city hall up here, we had U.S. Marshals, we had TBI and FBI roped off an entire parking lot up there, and they set up headquarters at the same time. We had the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, our Forestry Department, anyone that was available were out in this massive search. One of the elements that we want to make evident today that a lot of times is overlooked is just as soon as it was announced that Carlie Marie Trent was missing, as you could begin to see on the internet, one particular thing: pray for Carlie Marie Trent. You could go in any business, you could go in Kingsport, in Morristown, and counties around, and you would see signs in the business doors that simply said, pray for Carlie Marie Trent. You know, the statistics are this, that the chances of finding someone diminish with every hour that goes by. And as the days passed, the hours were going by and the clock was ticking, and everybody was aware of that, especially our Sheriff's Department and our local police department. 8 days had passed, and the odds were growing slimmer that if Carlie Marie Trent were found, that she would be alive, much less that she would be safe. Well, at the meantime, another local group had been made up of 4 local citizens, and that was Roger Carpenter, Larry Hamlin, Donnie Lawson, and Stuart Franklin. And these men sort of felt that God was leading them to look on the other side of Clinch Mountain in North Hawkins County. And then against all odds, on Thursday, May the 12th, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, rescuers said that God had led them to this particular farm, and some ways off the road, they were able to find a white conversion van, an uncle, and a little 9-year-old girl. I personally believe the headlines should have read, "Our prayers are answered," on the next day. Not only was Carlie seemingly unharmed, but she wasn't traumatized. And then instead of Saturday being a massive search day, Brook Hall had organized a community celebration at the park, welcoming Carlie Trent home. And indeed, that was a happy ending. So today I want to say thank yous on behalf of these men that searched for Carlie. Thank you first to everybody that was a part of the effort. And that was news media, the donors, it was everybody. I want to say personally a thank you to every group that offered up prayers. I want to say thank you to these men that offered rewards for Carlie being found. I want to say thank you to our magnificent law enforcement gentlemen and the efforts that they did to find Carlie and to manage this massive search. I want to say thank you to every person in Hawkins and other counties that came here and helped in this search, that went door to door and drove county roads and all of those things looking for this little girl. And then finally, we want to say thank you to the Lord, because friends, you know that this could have turned out entirely different. It could have. But there's more good news, because the icing on the cake is that the story would have been happy if it ended there, right? But the story is that these recipients of reward money wanted part of that money to come back and benefit the local charities that are represented here today. So the men that found Carlie have refused part of the reward money, and they've directed that to help organizations and charities in Hawkins and Hancock counties. And today we're going to place checks in the hands of these local organizations to allow them to continue doing the good works that are going to help make this a better community when Carlie grows up, and for our children and grandchildren as well. So I've got some checks that I want to give out.
We have kept none for ourselves. It's divided different ways. We have divided some more. We have a fund set up that we don't really want to speak of, that is strictly for the benefit of the ones affected. But and we tried to do this. We depended on the Lord. And I want to thank, first off, I want to thank everybody for their prayers. That's what we asked for every time we was in front of y'all on TV. And it worked. And I hope somebody out there gets that out of this. This worked. Pray unto the good Lord. And I want to thank everybody. Thank you all for covering this and putting it out there, and thank all the churches, every person that prayed for us. We felt it, and it worked, and we want to thank you all for that. And the people were nice enough to put up this money. We have a gentleman right here I'm looking at right now, a country music star, that puts all his proceeds up to do stuff like this. That is commendable, and I appreciate him for what he does. And thank each and every one of them that gave money, and we wanted to try to put it to the best use we possibly could. I'm speaking for all four of us, this was never about money. Money never had the first thing in the world to do with this. And we are blessed people. We want y'all to understand that. I think some people have missed that. We feel very blessed to have been part of this. And it has been a blessing, I know, to me and all of us. It was very trying, but thank God we had a great turnout. Not a good one, a great one. And this is a combination of just everybody getting together and trying to get our heads together and do the right thing.
Well, just checked different groups that were in Hawkins County as well as adjoining Hancock County, and selected ones that we felt were that would use the money wisely for other children. And there's some really fine organizations that help a lot of children.
We're not benefiting from it, none at all.
None of us are benefiting
at all
any of it.
It has already been put to good use, I can say that. There was a lady here in this town, that 90-year-old woman that was in need, and her house has been sided and they've put a new porch on for her. That's what we want this money to go to, is something good. We want people to remember this as something positive out of Rogersville. And thanks to you all, you've helped make it that way. We all laughed when it was over with, and I'm sure these two remember, we didn't have a clue how much money they had. People was coming asking us, and we had been so wrapped up in this search that we did not have a clue there was this much money.
We were busy across the mountain. We were not watching TV.
I know they can speak for themselves. It was rough the first few nights. We kind of, some people told us it might be, it'd been so stressful and all, but I thought we'd handle it fine. For me, it was rough for about the first 3 nights, sleeping and closing my eyes, but thank God I do fine with it now. And I know Stuart had some trouble, I know, and it was just a stressful situation. I have not tried to pressure her or anything, go up to her. I've specifically talked to her father and her uncle a couple of times and checked on her, and she's doing good. She's still going through some things with this, as far as going through some psychological evaluations and all, so I can't speak to that. But anyway, I'm not real sure, as far as how the case turned out and all like that, but I do know they are still working with her, and she is doing good. She has started back to school now, and so let's just continue to keep her in her prayers that she does do good. The gentleman that's not here with us, Larry Hamlin, now we had eliminated a lot of Hawkins County. We had eliminated, we did not cross a drive, a blade of grass or nothing. We made our mind up, we started, if we ever passed a driveway up and started backtracking, we'd never get it covered. So we had quite a bit of area covered. And then we got a big clue that led us to thinking he was across the mountain. And then during this time, Larry Hamlin had a hard time getting around. He's got a bad leg. And anyway, he had gave out on me. And I was praying hard for help. And along comes Stuart. And the first thing Stuart talked to me, I don't know if he realizes this or not, but I had it on my mind about that, this other gentleman, not specifically the one they mentioned here today, but this other gentleman they call the Mountain Man of Clinch Mountain. And I had him on my mind to go over and hunt his cabin. But when Stuart called me, and I'm sure he remembers this, we've not really talked about this, but he called me and said, "Do you need help?" And I said, "Sure, I'd love to have you." And the first place this man said to me was, "I know where there's a cabin over in Gravity Valley, over across Clinch." And man, that just rung in my head over and over all night that night. I was saying, this is too big a coincidence that I was thinking of that, and he knows where it's at. So Stuart actually knew where this cabin was at. And the next day, me and him went there on foot. And all this combination of prayers and God answering prayers, I believe that was a God thing, him telling Stuart that he wanted to go look in that cabin. And then Donnie here, he lives real close to there, and his family actually owns land right there. And so it was just, it was an answer to a lot of prayer. It just played right into our hands.
So I write music and do concerts to raise awareness for child abuse laws.
How do you feel about the way the money's being used?
I'm very happy with it. I'm so touched. I mean, to be able to donate and be blessed enough to be able to donate anything at all is amazing, but then to be able to see where the money goes at this point is unbelievable. I mean, the kind gestures of these gentlemen that clearly were out there working hard to find Carlie, for them to go above and beyond at this point in time when they don't have to. Again, some people say, well, I didn't have to donate, but to be given that money for a job that you did and work as hard as they did, and then to give it away, just shows that a level of selflessness that no one can understand or explain. I have a daughter, so this is, this could happen to anybody, and I'm a member of the Carlie Davenport Foundation, so we push to change child abuse laws, and through a little girl that was killed by her stepfather, Carlie Davenport. That's the reason why my hair's pink for. So again, having a situation like this, being so close to home, and knowing that my daughter, could have been in the same situation, it's huge to me. I mean, I would do it again, and I would do it again, and I would do it again.